A prodigy at an early age, though by no choice of her own, and one of the key members of a new group of Crossbellian heroes, this is the story of Tio Plato. Tio was born in the year 1990 of the Septian calendar, in the northern land of Rehabilitation. For the first few years of her infancy, it seemed for all the world that Tio would live a relatively normal and peaceful life in the Principality. However, the wheel of fate was about to deal her a cruel judgment. At the age of 5, events occur that even the most twisted of individual would struggle to fathom, and for 3 years, Tio would find herself privy to them. Her memories of these long, tormenting years were a fragmented blur, but the one thing that would always haunt her were the screams of children less fortunate than her. Eventually, she finds herself in relative comfort in St. Ursula Hospital, a state-of-the-art medical facility in the land of Crossbell. During this time, she is visited frequently by a young man, an individual who oozes positivity and a person that Tio finds herself drawn to. It turns out that this man is named Guy Bannings, a member of the Crossbell Police Department, and her saviour from that hell. Guy's frequent visits were a blessing for the broken Tio, whose condition after her ordeal was far from perfect. As a result, she was to remain at St. Ursula Hospital for the next 6 months in order to make a full recovery. With her treatment now complete, Guy once again visited the young girl, and had took it upon himself to take her back to her parents in Rehabilitation. On their train journey over, Guy presented to her a Mishi strap that she would treasure and a promise to her that he would be there if she ever needed him again. At last, she was reunited with her family, and by all intents and purposes this should have been a happy ending, but Tio started to quickly realise that something was wrong. Over the 3 years that Tio spent with her captors, she had developed abilities that seemed otherworldly for a normal human being. In particular, it appeared that she had lost the ability to feel any emotion except sorrow and fear, something that was made apparent to the neighbourhood children and her parents. Though it was clear they cared for their daughter, whether it be through social pressure or guilt, their emotions betrayed their true feelings, and the environment in her home became more terse as the months passed. Naturally, Tio was aware of her parents' thoughts, and decided that it would be best for her to leave Rehabilitation and take the train back to Crossbell. However, upon arriving, Tio would find that Guy Bannings had since passed away, and once again alone, she wondered what she could possibly do in this bleak situation. By chance, she happened upon an Epstein Foundation employee who realised her potential immediately. Wasting no more time, Tio was taken in as a Foundation researcher and moved to Le Mans State for the next 3 years, where she would be a part of the infant Orbital Staff development team. Soon enough, Tio returns to Crossbell to join the Epstein branch stationed there, assisting with the development of the Orbital Staff and the Orbital Network, which had its project grounds based in Crossbell due to the IBC's close proximity. She eventually hears of the formation of a new group that she finds herself drawn to, as it appears to be a materialisation of the late Guy's motivations and ideals. She joins this team as a way of yielding combat data for the benefit of the Orbital Staff project, something that she immediately makes clear to the other members who question her suitability for the role. This new team, known as the Special Support Section, or SSS for short, appears to be a way whereby the police, who already have a fractious relationship with the populace, can gain favour with the citizens of Crossbell. However, it clearly has been formed for something far more than just public relations, and Tio becomes a key member of the team with her deductive abilities and use of the prototype Aeon system, a means by which she can boost her already superior senses. Despite this, she seems to use these abilities with doubt, as she makes clear to her other colleagues almost immediately. Tio had already experienced judgment at the hands of those closest to her, so it's only natural that relative strangers would think the same. Needless to say, she is surprised when the SSS members rebuke her comment, stating that she is already someone they know they can trust and rely on, a sense of belonging that Tio hasn't experienced in many years. This feeling of trust and camaraderie continually develops over the course of her time with the SSS, where she even finds herself confiding her past to Guy's younger brother, Lloyd Bannings. Bemused by his embarrassing yet heartfelt responses, Tio can't help but let loose a rare smile, though she makes it clear that she doesn't want to be involved in some one-sided protection deal, for she is a member of the SSS like them, and just maybe, she is realising that this group of young detectives could be the family she thought she had lost. With her superior hacking skills, she's able to assist a fellow albeit delinquent Epstein Foundation prodigy and leads the SSS to uncovering the truth of this complicated state of Crossbell. Breaking down barrier after barrier of adversity, they slowly bring the festering core of this proud state to the forefront. Immediately after the events of the secretive Schwarz auction that the SSS had managed to intercept, ending in the rescue of a charming girl named Kia, strange events start to manifest around Crossbell. In particular, the observation that seemingly average people had become superhuman, able to do things beyond reason. As the SSS press further into these events, it culminates in the discovery of a mysterious blue drug, something that seems to trigger a deep psychological reaction in Tio. Her suspicions are worryingly confirmed as these drugs are taken to the aloof doctor of Ursula Hospital, Joachim Günther. Though he is unable to identify them without tests, he is aware of a drug developed in the underworld that had the same effects as these did, a drug known as true wisdom or Gnosis. The confirmation causes Tio to reel from the trauma and she is immediately taken under care by Guy's ex-fiancée, Cecil. Upon awakening, she finds the other members of the SSS around her clearly worried for her well-being. Moved by their support, Tio finds the courage within herself to reminisce on the events of 9 years prior. In 1995 of the Septium calendar, a maniacal cult, the DG cult, were the perpetrators of a mass of child kidnappings all over Zemuria. Tio was one such victim of this fate and was taken far away from the love of her parents and home. Registered into the Altair Lodge on the outskirts of Calvard, Tio and indeed other children of the same ilk were subject to grotesque experiments all centred around this drug, this delusion to bring humanity to its next plane of evolution. Combinations of experimentation and forced hypnosis allowed Tio to sense the higher elements, but at the cost of severe mental trauma. Whether by strength of will or dumb luck, she ends up as the only survivor of the experimentations, until finally the heinous acts are ended by the joint effort of Zemuria's forces. Barely hanging on to life, it's at this moment where Tio is rescued by Guy and taken to St. Ursula Hospital to recover. Drawing on these memories clearly affects Tio, where she finds herself questioning her own humanity. On the day when she learned of Guy's death, she felt no sadness, no regrets, she simply accepted it. And she wonders now, have these abilities of hers replaced her humanity? Does she even have a reason to live anymore? If this was disclosed to anyone else, Tio may have accepted her own monologue. But this was the special support section, her new family, and her close, precious friends. Ellie, Lloyd and Randy all make it clear to her that the question Tio is asking is something that everyone contemplates sometime in their life. If anything, it's that question that makes them human. And many will never find that answer, but nonetheless they will all work to find it together, and that includes helping Tio to do the same. This revelation moves Tio to tears, something that she felt was robbed of her by the DG cult all those years ago. But it seems the power of the SSS can even overcome this barrier. Now with strengthened resolve and a desire to support her friends, the SSS return to headquarters and Tio is given a healthy dose of Kia power to recuperate. As the corruption of Crossbell develops into a city-wide attack by a Gnosis-infused Guardian force, the SSS trace the culprit to St. Ursula Hospital, where they are invited by the true mastermind of these events, none other than Joachim Günther. In the past, maybe Tio would have chosen to run away from this monster, but now with her friends by her side, she can finally face the head of the DG cult and learn the answers from the serpent's mouth itself. Fighting their way to the depths of the Temple of the Sun, Joachim Gunther awaits them in a grand chamber disclosing fully the role of the cult and their desire to push the limits of humanity. Angered by his blasé attitude, Tio demands to know why the suffering of children was required to make this goal a reality. The sickening response is hard for anyone, especially Tio, to comprehend. Simply put, children yield more significant results. It's clear to everyone present that this man in front of them, no, this demon, is beyond saving. He is the pure definition of insane, and thus it leaves the SSS no other choice but to end his maniacal ideal. With the help of Ren, Joachim is eventually defeated, and the threat of the DG cult is finally overcome. For Tio, it's a welcome end to her demons, and though she regrets the death of a man as despicable as Gunther, she accepts that sometimes sacrifices must happen. The closure to Tio's suffering, however, is just the first hurdle that the SSS must overcome, as more troubling events lurk on the horizon. With the fall of Ravache, the corrupt yet delicate order that they provided has now dissipated into the Crossbellian air, and the situation becomes unstable with the superpowers of Erebonia and Calvard lurking on the borders. In light of this, Crossbell requires more allies who they can count on, and the SSS disband temporarily, with Tio returning to Le Mans State. As the trade conference set up by Deite Croix nears, she returns just in time to save her comrades from a gruesome end at the hands of Campanella, utilising her superior POM skills to stop the fall in his tracks. Finally rejoining the SSS, the events surrounding Crossbell cascade against one another as a new power is born from a millennia-old plan. With Kia now a tool of the state's newfound independence, Tio and the SSS must now overcome their greatest barrier to save her and indeed Crossbell. During this journey, it's clear that Tio has grown from her first days with the SSS, able to support the other members as they once supported her during her time of need. As said to Lloyd previously, she won't accept one-way support, as she is a member of the SSS as well. Eventually receiving assistance from a Dominion of the Grolls Ritter themselves, Tio stands on the deck of the Macabre, holding a letter from some familiar people. The events surrounding Crossbell had prompted Tio's parents to finally contact her again after 3 long years, and despite abandoning her original home in Remeferia, Tio can't help but feel homesick while reading the words. As Lloyd joins her on deck, she comes to the conclusion that she wants to meet her parents once again, despite everything that transpired all those years prior. She is aware of what drove her away initially, but she also knows that her parents still love her as their child, otherwise, why would they send this letter? Back then, she was at a loss as to what she wanted to live for, what she could strive to achieve, but now, Tio has the answers she needs, the reason why she wants to live, and it lies in Crossbell. It lies in the people she holds dear in the SSS. She simply wants to tell her parents that she has now found that goal, and she wants Lloyd to come with her to demonstrate that. That steely resolve now acts as a catalyst by which she and the SSS can overcome the trials of Azure, thus saving Kia and freeing her from the misery she would likely endure for eternity. The path she and the SSS have chosen for Crossbell is a route of undoubted struggles, but no doubt still, the path that they all know is best. As expected, the Erebonian Empire annexes the state of Crossbell in 1205 of the Septian calendar, due in large part to the work of the Ashen Chevalier. Though Tio initially goes back to Le Mans State, she has since been promoted to the role of Chief of Research at the Crossbell Epstein branch, and she returns there in order to support her friends. Her peerless intelligence, witty quips and love for Mishi are a byproduct of the journey she has trod. and there is no doubt that as a member of the SSS, she will continually fight for Crossbell's independence.